Welcome back to the 2021 Macabre Month of Horror. If you're new to the Brickwall Pictures channel, the Macabre Month of Horror is a yearly series I do every October where I look back at and review horror films from all around the world. Make sure you check out past years' Macabre Months of Horror. Links to each full playlist are in the description. Today's review is for Ken Russell's The Devils.
The Devils Burn.
An explosive film. Absolutely brilliant. ABC TV.
Superbly, frighteningly effective. Time magazine.
Something I've noticed in cinema circles, and especially in film criticism circles, is that when a horror film hits a certain level of notoriety and acclaim, a bunch of people like to say that it's not really a horror film. There's this odd implication that horror films can't challenge and provoke in the way that great dramas and thrillers can, and that they aren't worthy of any major awards attention or the love and respect of serious critics. Like they're ashamed to openly praise a horror film, so they strip it of that status when they find one worthy of their spotlight. It happens with Silence of the Lambs. No, it's not a horror, it's a thriller. It happened with Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. Crime? Drama? Biography? Yep. Horror? No. It happens with certain David Lynch films. Oh, that's not horror, it's too artsy to be horror. And it happens with Ken Russell's The Devils. A bloody, perverted, X-rated film about satanic hysteria is absolutely a horror film. Except the dramatic elements are so compelling that The Devils is usually labeled a historical drama instead. I say fuck all that, it's a horror film. Just not in the typical horror mold.
Vanessa Redgrave, Oliver Reed, in Ken Russell's film of The Devils.
The Devils is set in the 17th century and follows Oliver Reed as Father Urbain Grandier, who beyond having a badass name is faced with the unenviable task of protecting his fortified town from usurpers, who brand him as having dealings with the devil in a politically motivated way. Oliver Reed is a sexy man who everyone wants to sleep with. Also in the film, he plays a sexy man who every character wants to sleep with, namely the entire nunnery. Every single nun is sexually obsessed with Father Grandier, and they get caught up in the middle of the satanic theatrics, all accused of witchcraft and of being possessed by the devil. It's a witch hunt film that skewers religion, manipulation, politics, and groupthink with utmost efficacy. Imagine the interpersonal paranoia explored in The Witch, but on a much grander scale, and if they were all wrong about any supernatural happenings going on. The grand scale thing I just mentioned really is key here. It's rare for a depraved horror film to be this massive and look this expensive. Adjusted for inflation, the budget for The Devils was about $70 million. The sets are fucking humongous, and were the biggest built since the old historical epics like Cleopatra. And these huge sets are honestly a big draw for the film. It might sound strange, but just look at them. They are incredible sights to behold, mostly due to director Ken Russell and set designer Derek Jarman's decision to throw historical accuracy out the window. And if the name Derek Jarman sounds familiar to you, yes, it is the same Derek Jarman, the guy who made Blue and a bunch of other stuff. This is one of just 2 films he's set designed. These days, he's best remembered as a director and as a groundbreaking experimental filmmaker. Russell and Jarman went for a purposely anachronistic look for the set, even striving for a futuristic look in certain places. Jarman pulled a lot of Fritz Lang inspiration from Metropolis, and the results speak for themselves. The Devils is visually captivating for every single frame. And I would say that actually has more to do with the production design than the out-and-out cinematography, which is great as well, to give it its due. The acting from the entire cast is incredible. There are several Oscar-worthy performances on full display in The Devils, especially from Vanessa Redgrave, Michael Gothard, who absolutely chews up the scenery every time he's on screen, and of course Oliver Reed in the main role. Reed has called The Devils his favorite of his own films, and it's plain to see why. It's a remarkable showcase for his talents. Complex, crackling dialogue, lengthy monologues, an extremely dynamic character arc, and plenty of show-stopping moments all give him time to shine. Every woman wants to sleep with him, he has a badass mustache, and he throws an alligator out of a window. Of course, it's his favorite movie of his own. But despite all of this excellence, The Devils was a box office bomb when it released back in 1971. It was ravaged by critics and met with heaps of controversy. Warner Brothers imposed severe cuts to the film, including destroying a key sequence where a bunch of nuns have an orgy with a giant crucifix, which was referred to by the filmmakers as the Rape of Christ sequence. Provocative is putting it mildly. Even after that sequence was removed from the film, it still received an X rating. People spent years trying to find and restore this cut footage, and critic Mark Kermode actually succeeded. The uncut version of the film was finally screened in 2002, 33 years after the film's initial release. But there's actually another cut scene that is even less talked about that I think might be even more fucked up. It's a spoiler to say exactly what happens, so skip ahead like 10 seconds in this video if you don't want to hear it, alright? This is your spoiler warning for the next 10 seconds. The other cut scene was after Grandier has been burned at the stake and showed Sister Jeanne, who is deeply disturbed and obsessed with him, masturbating with his charred femur. Holy shit, that is fucked up. Okay, spoilers over, spoilers over. This type of daring blend of sexuality, religion, and violence remains controversial to this day. Even more so back in 1971. The controversy surrounding this film is almost as vehement as the hysteria depicted in the film, kind of proving its point. It was a serious blow to Ken Russell's career for a time, and the cast as well, to a slightly lesser extent. The film was banned in Italy, and Oliver Reed and Vanessa Redgrave were threatened with prison time if they ever entered the country. 3 years in prison for a fucking movie. And Italy wasn't the only country to ban them either. It was banned in Finland for 40 years. The Devils was and still is considered one of the most controversial films ever made. And I highly recommend it. It's honestly fucking great. It's an unfairly maligned masterpiece, and I do not use that word lightly. Try to seek out the least censored version you can get your hands on. And make sure you're subscribed to Brickwall Pictures for the rest of this year's Macabre Month of Horror. You can follow along with the playlist on screen or any other Macabre Month of Horror playlist. They are all in the description. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.